Hello, everyone, from the Matt Morris Digital Studio here in Fresno, California. This is the Beem and Dean Show, episode 52, with the sports director of KC24 and CBS47, Scott Bemis. I am Dean Shiro. Scotty, what a crazy one on the island on a late Saturday, early Sunday morning, huh?
Yeah, Fresno State pulls one out, and quick story that I know you'll appreciate, and I hope the viewers at home as well.
Sure.
So I did a Zoom interview at 1 a.m. with Jackson Moore from the stadium there in Hawaii. He was on site covering the game, Jackson Moore of BarkBoard.com for Bulldog Insider. Well, I didn't tell my wife that I was going to be doing this Zoom interview at 1 a.m., so I was going to basically be doing it from my living room, right? And at 1 a.m., she's asleep on the couch, and suddenly I start talking really loud on the computer, and she rattles out of bed and says, "What is going on?" You know? And I said, "I'm doing a Zoom interview with Jackson from Oahu," you know? And she said, "Can you keep it down?"
Oh my God, that's funny.
Anyway, so just to give you a little glimpse into the life of a
Scott
sports
Bemis,
anchor.
ladies and gentlemen,
yeah.
that's crazy. Yeah, it was a crazy game. Defensively, obviously they played really, really well. Offensively, they left a lot to be desired. I guess the main question I want to ask you, Scott, you know, after 4 games now, right, and a month, are they really Mountain West contenders, do you think? I mean, I know the Mountain West isn't, a killer league, but I think there's a lot of question marks on this team, so I'll turn it over to you.
I think we're all trying to figure out right now, is Fresno State really good? I mean, they're clearly a team that can be very competitive against pretty much anybody in the conference, right? But are they really good? Are they a team that could win the Mountain West Championship? I don't know. I actually don't know the answer to that question just yet. I think we need to see them, against a Boise State or a UNLV maybe down the line. Now they don't
play New Mexico, right?
They don't play UNLV during the regular season.
Do they play New Mexico?
No, they don't play New Mexico either.
So that's another contender right now.
So, well, here's a game that could be a good litmus test for Fresno State coming up. Okay, you got Nevada, obviously, coming up off the bye week. That should be a win, but I always hesitate to chalk up any win right now with regards to, Fresno State or this and that with regards to the conference. And even Nevada, who on paper is 1-3, I think. I was looking at their box score against Western Kentucky over the weekend, actually about an hour ago. And they were competitive in that game. In fact, they were leading in the fourth quarter at Western Kentucky, who's one of the, the preseason favorites in their conference coming into the season. And so, look, I'm not saying Nevada's a great football team, but if you think that Fresno State's going to just roll over Nevada, like a hot knife through butter, it's probably not going to happen. Do I expect them to win? Yes. They'll probably win by a couple scores and pull away, as the game goes on. But you can't chalk up anything with regards to, Fresno State, I'd say, at this point, right? The encouraging sign is, Dean, is that they're going to be in every game because of that defense.
Yeah.
It looks like the defense is kind of emerging at this point. Really good performance against Hawaii. Those linebackers, Thunderbird and Pearson, are kind of anchoring that deep.
Incredible.
Yeah, Thunderbird was great, and they're getting pressure. It looks like up front, with Foreman and Claypool, and and Matt Ensign's been talking about this all year long, that they've been rotating guys in, not only during games, but they're doing it at practice. That they're being very rotational at practice. They're not just like limiting reps for anybody. And so, in his opinion, that builds depth on a roster, and his twos are going to be able to hold it down just like the ones. And you're seeing it. You're seeing at the safety position, at defensive line, even at linebacker, you see some young guys get in there. Even saw Titus Kajabi get into the game.
How about that?
Briefly in the second half. I think he's a sophomore now out of Clovis West.
Yep.
Might have redshirted last year, so he may be technically a redshirt freshman. But yeah, they're rotating guys. So the defense is going to keep him in every game. The big question, I think, is, will the offense be able to do enough to win in a tough environment when things are tough, when they're down, maybe at Boise, at Colorado State on a Friday night, which is a game coming up. But the litmus test I was going to give you was, I think the home game following the Nevada game is San Diego State. And I think...
Did you see what they did to Cal?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
San Diego State, in case you guys missed it, they shut out Cal 34-0 on Saturday.
That was just unheard of.
That was probably the most shocking score I saw, maybe besides the Clemson-Syracuse score, but a West Coast score. I was like, whoa, what went down there? And apparently San Diego State's quarterback, I was looking at the numbers, he was 15-18 in that game. San Diego State gets some quarterback play.
Yeah.
They can.
Yep.
They can be a contender too.
Yeah, the Aztecs do come to Bulldog Stadium, or Valley Children's. Sorry, just old habit. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. A little disappointed still in the running game. Obviously Donaldson had the turnover. EJ, it's just the offense is just kind of good, bad, good. I mean, there's just I think the consistency level, I'm sure Coach Entz isn't happy about. So you want to comment on that real quick?
Well, there's just no explosive plays through the passing game right now. They've gotten a few big runs this year, and I think even they had a big run called back in the Hawaii game from Donaldson. So they did bust one, but I think it was called back because of a penalty, I believe. They're just having a tough time generating big plays, and that just may be something that is going to be there all year. You would think if they can establish the run game like they did against Georgia Southern or against Southern, that would set up some play action and maybe some deep shots as well. But they haven't been able to hit one yet to Josiah Freeman, which is kind of interesting. Now, don't think Josiah was 100% for the Hawaii game, and he missed the Southern game before that. So, hopefully this bye week will help Josiah Freeman get healthy again, because he's really probably the clear number one at receiver.
Right.
You are seeing Ezekiel Avit emerge a little bit.
He had the great play on the hands team to secure the game too on the onside kick.
Yeah,
as
there
well.
are some receivers with talent. Like there's
Right.
D1 guys like Avit who've transferred into Fresno State, and so you just kind of see this talent develop. But I think the way they're playing the games right now is they're keeping it pretty close to the vest as well, because I think they can win with their defense, and get turnovers and this and that, and then maybe a couple plays here and there are just enough to get a win, and that's kind of what we saw. I think A.J. Warner's playing pretty well, all things considered. But there hasn't been any explosive plays at this point. They haven't been able to hit any of those deep shots. And so I don't know. I don't know what the issue is there. Part of it, I think, is just style, the way they're kind of calling the game. Part of it is on Saturday, they weren't able to really clearly establish the running game, so that might have hurt setting up some play action, or, you need to throw more on first down maybe to take some of those deep shots as well.
Sure.
And so, yeah, it is a concern, though.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, we'll see. We've got a few more college things we're going to cover, but let's come on in hot now to start. All right, Scott. Well, we have an interesting topic here tonight for coming in hot. It goes to last night's Sunday night football game. I think we got spoiled. Week one, you got Bills-Ravens, an incredible comeback win for the Bills, and then since then it's just been kind of in layman's terms. Can
we clip that, by the way, that fart sound
effect
from
Dean?
You can have it. We're going to use that as a drop.
We had the Giants last night against the Chiefs, so I'll let you expound on this. I'll let you get started.
All right, here's what I'm going to say. Please, I do not want to have to see any more New York Giants football as it is currently constituted under Brian Daboll in a primetime window, Dean. Make it stop, please. And by the way, that goes a little bit for the Chiefs, too.
Yeah,
I don't need to see the Chiefs anymore in any primetime windows.
They didn't look great either.
No, and they haven't looked explosive for several years now. Yes, they've been good, but is that Chiefs offense really that entertaining to watch anymore? No. Really, all you're watching for are Andy Reid and Travis Kelce going to get into it again on the sideline? That's basically why you're watching. But the Giants have been on primetime, and this goes for the Bears a little bit too. Now, the Bears are starting to get a little more exciting, I'll be honest, with Caleb Williams and company there, so maybe it's okay. But the Bears for years, because it's Chicago and it's New York, right, two huge markets, and the Jets as well, constantly being put into these primetime windows. Make it stop, please. I cannot watch any more Giants football, at least as it's currently constituted with Russell Wilson, manning the controls in my primetime windows. Thankfully, Dean, I looked at the schedule.
What do we got coming up?
There is one more Thursday night game.
Okay.
Maybe it'll be Jackson Dart by then, hopefully, against the Eagles on Amazon week 6. And they are scheduled to play a thrilling Monday night showdown in New England, week 13,
dear Lord.
Monday, December 1st. Right? There is flex scheduling at that point.
The flex window can't get here soon enough, Scott.
Yeah. So let's already flex out of that game. I will say this: there is the chance that Jackson Dart comes in there and he becomes more exciting to watch. But And I'm not putting it all on Russell Wilson because we had to live through the Daniel Jones era in prime time and time again.
Yeah.
You know, the bad Daniel Jones era, not the good Daniel Jones that we're seeing now with the Colts. Maybe 1 year where Daniel Jones was good with the Giants, right? But it's just, I don't know. Please make it stop. I can't watch any more Giants games.
Yeah, it was rough. And then, you know, when Neighbors got hurt, it got worse. And then for the Chiefs, it's just, you know, they were just dismal on offense. I mean, pretty much all night. They had a couple drives in the second half. But, it wasn't good to say the least. Let's talk a little bit about the flex in terms of not schedules, but quarterbacks. Is it time for the Browns and the Giants to flex quarterbacks at this point?
Well, Dean, I would just ask you, what's the plan in New York and Cleveland? I mean, we're going to throw Joe Flacco out there again and again and again and watch him dink and dunk and dink and dunk. I know it was a cool story, you know, a couple years ago with Joe Flacco, and he's been a good quality NFL quarterback, right?
But the Browns did us no favors yesterday, Scott. They won.
I don't know how they won that game.
They won.
Just like I don't know how the Eagles won the game. It's just the NFL. Chalk it up to the NFL. It's a wild league. But Joe Flacco with the Browns, Russell Wilson with the Giants. Make a change. Let's go in a different direction. I mean, especially with the Giants. I mean, because the Giants, you got Jackson Dart sitting there, and there's no guarantee that Jackson Dart's going to come in and make an immediate impact, that offense is going to be significantly improved. But at least you have a little excitement over something if you're a Giants fan.
I know you were working last night. They did throw a couple packages in for Dart. He did come in at times to huge ovations, and then Wilson would come back into huge boos.
Hey, we've seen it with Russell Wilson, okay? He had his time. It was great. You know, Russ with the Seahawks, with that running game, everything else, it worked. Russell Wilson now is just a small quarterback who doesn't move like he used to move, and he probably should just be a backup quarterback in the NFL. Brian Daboll, make the move, okay? Make the move. You're not going to be there with Russell Wilson as your starter. So you might as well see if maybe you can catch lightning in a bottle with Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, there's other quarterback issues too. You've got the situation in New Orleans, you know, obviously with Rattler, you know, throwing a stinker up there in Seattle. Tough place to win. I'm not saying it is, but Tyler Sheck, you know, are they going to go with him or not? You know, there's just a lot of questions. So, yeah, the Rams heartbreaker, we can get into that if you want.
At least the Saints are kind of more in a rebuilding mode, and it's almost like they're kind of trying to tank in a, you know, not intentionally, intentionally, because, you know, I think they want to get as high as draft pick because they can't, or at least that would be good for the organization. I'm not saying they're trying to lose, but if they go 2-15 or whatever, I don't think any Saints fans are going to be that bummed about it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we've got an exciting Monday night game tonight. It should be a lot better, hopefully.
This one should be good. Good quarterback play in this one.
Yeah, good quarterback play. You've got Goff coming off record numbers last week against the Bears, and now you've got the Ravens at home with Lamar. So I know you've got to play outstanding on this game. So should be interesting. Let's just go back to the Rams real quick. I mean, as a Rams fan, I never thought that game was secure yesterday. I had people texting me, looks great. And I'm like, you know, field goals equal losses. And that's how I really felt. This is before the 2 block field goals. These are the made field goals where they couldn't punch it in the red zone on third down. And Sean McVay talked about it in his press conference. We need to be better on third down, and we'll win those games. Until they do, they're not going to beat the Eagles. They just aren't. The Eagles are kind of the Rams' kryptonite. It's just the way it's kind of been. And until they can mentally get over that hurdle, they might see each other again in the playoffs. So any other things in the NFL that you want to touch on from yesterday?
Well, it was wild, right? That window from, I don't know, 12:45 to like 1:30 there with all the blocked kicks and everything. I mean, it just shows you the razor-thin margins between wins and losses in the NFL, because there's no way the Packers should have lost that game in Cleveland yesterday. The Browns could not move the football at all, you know, the entire game. And then suddenly you make one big mistake late, right? And there you go. You tie the game up, you get a field goal blocked, and then suddenly you've lost the game. And same thing with the Rams in a way too. You know, I didn't watch every play of the game. But
I didn't either. But yeah, I mean, another team that couldn't capitalize. The Packers were another team that could not capitalize yesterday when they had opportunities, and they just couldn't get it done. And then you let a team stick around, and things happen. Look at the Jets coming back on even the Bucs, and then the Bucs need to kick a field goal. I mean, it was crazy, that window between 1245 and 120. You know, it's nuts.
And the week-to-week variance in the NFL. I mean, God bless you. You know, if you're betting the NFL, which we give out plays here on the NFL, but it can just swing. I mean, if you're hanging there with a Rams ticket, which I think Dean you had yesterday, right? At plus 3.5.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I mean, that we were joking that play should be in the montage for SVP's bad beats going forward.
Should be on the open from now on. Yes,
because not only did the block kick keep you from winning a Rams money line bet, but the Eagles covered because the block kick was returned
for a touchdown
on the final play of the game. That wild finish there. But look at the variance in the NFL. I mean, the Panthers, didn't they shut out the Falcons yesterday?
They did, after the Falcons go into Minnesota and pretty much blitz the Vikings last Monday night, you know? So there's a lot of parity in the NFL. I mean, kudos to the Jets for coming back yesterday. And, you know, the only team that really didn't come back yesterday, other than the Falcons, were the Saints, you know, and the Raiders didn't look great either. So, you know,
and I feel kind of bad for Ashton Genty. Let me get rid of stat that, like, over 70% of his carries so far this year, he's been hit behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, it just shows
you know about that one firsthand, don't you?
Yeah. Last Monday night, I had a little bit of a bad beat for me on Ashton Genty. I mean, I guess you could describe it that way.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, it just, the NFL, hang on tight. Hang on tight. I mean, that window on NFL Red Zone where they talk about the witching hour. I mean, it really is a wild ride. And it seems like about once every 3 or 4 weeks, we get a window where there's like 5 or 6 games that are just coming down to the wire. One of the reasons we love the league, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much parity, and from one year to the next, it seems like you can make a huge jump or a team can fall way off the radar. And so if you're a fan, you don't ever feel like you're that far away. Like if you get a player or two, the right coach, you know, suddenly you can go from worst to first, or you can go from first to worst.
I'm going to go back to our point, though. You know, when you have all those games coming down at one time like that, this is where I'd like to space them out a little bit. Maybe have 2 games on Monday night, because maybe we can get exclusivity on one of these games, you know? So that's just my take on it. Let's get into the college game a little bit more. You know, we had an exciting weekend. It wasn't a headline weekend by any stretch, but, you know, Nebraska, you know, Michigan, that was a good game. Michigan goes into Lincoln and gets a nice win. You know, we got some marquee games coming this week, but one thing I want to mention, so we talked about the Virginia Tech situation last week, and that Brett Pry, you know, got fired. Virginia Tech now looking to make, I believe it was a $229 million investment in athletics, we'll say, but it's in the football program to try to be more competitive in the ACC. Are we going to see more of this, do you think? Obviously, I know UCLA needs to make a financial commitment as well for their new coach, so I'll let you answer that question.
Well, I think if you want to be competitive, yes. This is the new landscape of college athletics. Where this money's going to come from, always, I don't know. And that's a bigger discussion probably about should universities be committing this type of money to athletics in general. But the truth is, if you want to stay competitive, yeah, it's all about finances. Not only is it about, it kind of used to be about facilities, right? And your recruiting budget and all this stuff, and paying coaches, assistant coaches especially, right?
Right, because you couldn't technically pay players back then like you can now. So
now, though, it's about paying players. Like, what can I offer? We saw Texas Tech. We've talked about it several times on this show, how they just, you know, they unloaded the bank in the NIL market.
Scotty,
apparently.
are they not Exhibit A? Are they not Exhibit A? I mean, look what they did. They went to Salt Lake City and destroyed Utah in the second half. So, anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you're not doing it, somebody else is going to be, right? So if you're Va Tech and you're trying to hang with the likes of Florida State and North Carolina and, you know, Miami and Clemson and all those teams in the ACC who have bigger budgets than you do athletically, this is a big deal. Now, it's not all about finances. Like, sometimes I think it's an excuse, I think, that sometimes programs who are in downtimes use to say, this is why we're losing, right? You know, or an AD saying, okay, here's the explanation. We don't have enough money. We can't keep up with, you know, these other schools. It's not all about it, but it is a big portion of it now, and it's becoming more and more important as we go forward, because you actually have to give that money to the players now, just to acquire the players. Whereas before it was more about all the flash with the facilities and the recruiting and everything else. You know, now you need the money to get guys. You hear Fresno State coaches talk about it all the time. You know, usually off the record, you know, saying that it's tough. It's tough at times because they can be in on a guy, think they have a great relationship with, a possible transfer or even, a high school recruit.
Yeah.
And at the last minute, the rug gets pulled out from under him. And why? Because somebody else was willing to offer more money.
Right.
And Fresno State can't always find that money being a mid-major conference considering who they're going up against. And so I think we're going to certainly be seeing more and more of this. Where the money's going to be coming from, I don't know. I guess in a football sense, there should be enough money coming in, and I think we'll continue to see
right.
We're talking about, the expansion of the playoff and all this stuff
Sure.
because they're going to keep trying to bring more money in.
Right. And one point you made, which was interesting too, is just how a lot of these conversations and comments used to be tongue in cheek, more whispers and stuff you're hearing behind the scenes. Not anymore, Scott. It's all public. I mean, guys are coming out and just saying, look at Texas Tech. Mike Gundy, Oregon, look how much money they're spending. They're spending 10 times what we spent. They're not saying it just to coaches anymore. They're being very public about it. And, it's just until the situation changes, until the legislation, the rules change, you're going to have more of this. So.
And you've heard Matt Entz, also it being a talking point with him, when he's been at, like I remember the gift that they got recently, the matching donation gift of $1 million from Jamie De La Cerda here in Fresno, and Matt Entz was there at that ceremony,
yep.
Speaking publicly about it, and he's talked about it as his opening press conference, everything else about just how everybody's got to get involved, and that it's not just us acquiring players, it's the community as a whole. It's the Fresno State community at large and the people who donate to the university and to the athletic department. You play a big role in this, right? And that's how we're going to move forward, right? And that's how we're going to retain players as well. Even if we get them in here, like sometimes you're going to have to, players are going to want to renegotiate if they have a big season, and they're going to have other offers from other schools. And so it's much more of a, out there now talking point that people are talking about, just as far as, hey, this is a money game now, right? It's a big part of it now, and it may be the biggest part, and in 10 years it may be the only part, honestly, with major college athletics when it comes to football and basketball and things like that. And so you got to get ahead of it or you're going to fall behind. We
got some good news this week though. I think a lot of the coaches agree that the spring portal window now is non-existent for underclassmen. So only your fifth year seniors can transfer in the spring. So I think a lot of coaches are happy about that. And we need more legislation like that, or else you're going to continue to kind of have a wild west scenario.
The only thing with that transfer portal window is that no problem with the spring portal going away if they want to do that. I think the bigger problem, though, wasn't necessarily the spring portal being there. Isn't the bigger problem that winter portal period is right in the middle of the season, right? Like before they've played their bowl games and then before the playoff has happened. And I think that was the biggest problem with it, was that coaches are preparing for bowl games, they're preparing for the college football playoff, and then right smack in the middle of it, here comes the transfer portal. Not only with having to try to get guys, but then they have their own players leaving, right? Guys who maybe not the stars, but even sometimes some big names from their teams deciding to leave at that point. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is that college football's got to figure out a way to put that portal period somehow after the college football playoff is done. Now, I know it's tricky because of academic calendars and all that stuff, but come on, they can figure it out.
Yeah, we got to figure something out. But they're trying to limit people just being able to go at any time. So at least that was a bonus thing. So, all right, let's get into our money plays. All right, Scotty, we're working our way through the month of September as we go. Scotty had a really nice win on Saturday. TCU and Missouri. That Missouri game got a little close there. I was going to text you, but I'm like, let's just see what happens. So South Carolina actually had the lead at halftime in Columbia, but Missouri came through and rolled it out. So I didn't want to jinx anything for you. And then tonight he's got the Ravens, so that's why you see some pending cash there. So that's what Scotty's got. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm one Ravens win away from going 2-0 with my two-team moneyline parlays there, which I think will get me right back in the hunt with you, Dean, at that point.
It will. It might even get you the lead at this point.
Yeah, in our contest where we start each month with $1,000, and it's a monthly contest. I do have one play.
It's on there. I got it on there.
For today. I got Iowa plus 7.5 here against Indiana. Now, Indiana is coming off a huge win. I don't know if they can play any better than they played against Illinois. but now they're laying over a touchdown at Iowa. Man, I don't know. I went back just real quick because I was looking at it. I was curious because Iowa usually plays these low-scoring, tight games at home, right? They've got a pretty good home field advantage there. And I wonder if Iowa has even lost a home game by more than 7.5 points in like the last 2 years or something, right? And I had to go all the way back to a game against Michigan, I think that ended the season two seasons ago.
Was it the national championship year?
Yes,
Michigan? Okay.
It was the national championship year with Michigan.
All right.
And they got shut out at home. But other than that, Dean, in the last 2 years, that's as far back as I went, there has not been an Iowa home game where they've lost by more than a touchdown.
Yeah, it's a tough place to win.
And so now Indiana coming in there. Indiana as a 7.5-point favorite over Iowa. Look, who knows? Maybe Indiana is that good. But just on principle alone, I think with a low-scoring team like Iowa with traditionally a solid defense, I'm going to take over a touchdown all day long against Indiana. Letdown spot for the Hoosiers. By the way, great week in the Big Ten this week coming up, right?
Yeah.
Illinois at SC. Oh, that's another spot where
we'll see how Illinois looks.
I know. I might lean. Even though I'm an SC guy, I think there's value on Illinois possibly there getting a touchdown.
Yep.
Ohio State at Washington.
That's gonna be good.
That's some.
Is that like 10? I think that's like 10.5 too. That line.
I saw 8.5. Did it come down?
I think it's up to 10.5 now. Yeah.
And then like Oregon, Penn State, obviously.
That one's in Happy Valley. It's gonna be a whiteout game, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. We got a great week coming up, and we've got the Ryder Cup. We're gonna have a full preview of the Ryder Cup on Thursday's show. We're very excited about the Ryder Cup for sure. But yeah, that's what Scotty's got. And as for myself, you live by the parlay, you die by the parlay. So we died by the parlay this week. We did have to hit the baseball one to start it off. I got off to a great start. And then boom. Upsets in the WNBA, the Dream gets, not only did they not cover the spread, they actually lost the game outright to Indiana and got eliminated. And then the Aces didn't cover against Seattle. That was an elimination game. Now the Aces are down 1-0 at home against the Indiana Fever. So getting into my plays this week, you'll notice I go, it's a Scott Bemis play this week. There's not, 10 numbers up there. We got four plays. So I've got another moneyline parlay tonight on baseball. Nothing huge. Just there's only 3 games, so I kind of went in that direction. The Brewers and the Padres are playing an interesting game. The Brewers have not locked up the number 1 seed yet, and they've got Peralta on the mound tonight, so I kind of went in that direction. The Giants still have a tiny bit of life left for the playoffs, but not much, and the Braves are just playing it out, so we'll see. I jumped on the other side of Scotty's Lions bet, Lions-Ravens. He took the Ravens to win outright money line. I think the game's going to go over 53.5. We'll see. So I took $50 on the game going over. 2 really good quarterbacks. I mean, the Lions put up monster numbers last week against the Bears at home. They're not as good on the road. We'll see what happens there. So 50 to win 43 there. And this is where I put all my eggs. The Aces cannot go down 2-0.
Ooh, we're going 230 here to win 100.
The Aces cannot go down 2-0 and go to Indiana for 2. They have to win this game tonight. I bought the line down. It actually was like 450. Money line, bought it down to about 230, cut the line from 9.5 to 4.5.
Okay, so is that a money line bet there or a -4.5?
Excuse me, that's a spread bet.
Okay,
my fault.
Okay.
I cut the spread down from 9.5 to 4.5.
Okay.
The money line bet on it was like -450.
Okay.
The spread bet on it was like -110 at 9.5. It was too big of a number. I found out an interesting number around 230, 4.5 points. Aces need to win by 5. To win that bet, 230 to win 100. And then the last one is a money line bet straight. Mercury need to win this game in Minnesota or else they go down 2-0 coming home to Phoenix.
Well, I'll tell you what, for all you WNBA betting fanatics out there, the Beem and Dean Show is the place to come. By the way, Dean, real quick, there's a whole bunch of space here on this page that is blank that usually is taken up with your plays.
I just want to show
what's going on here.
Scotty went into a different direction last week, so that's what my last week looked like. And then this is what we did this week. We went the Scott Bemis way, and we solidified down to 4 plays with a little bit more analysis this week.
You know what? I actually like it,
I
Dean.
channeled my inner Scott Bemis this week.
I'm making fun of you, but I like it. It's a little easier to read, I think, as well, and kind of see where you're at with regards to it. And yeah, Dean.
It's suddenly just Dean tightening up a little bit. That's all, folks. A little bit, but yeah.
It's tightening up. I like that.
Anyway, we're going to be back on Thursday. We got about 10 seconds left, so we're going to be back on Thursday. We're going to have our Ryder Cup preview. For Scotty, I'm Dean. This has been the Beem and Dean Show.